Shots at your white tea, I turn it into peppermints. Buckshots at your white tea, turn it into breakfast pepper grits. I bully hacker wimp, separated from the posse. Been a mercenary ever since. Yes, I live in Washington. All about the Franklins, and he ain't even president. I said I live in DC, born and raised. I've been here ever since. My life is like a movie. I'm the rich take on dead presidents. Police got the body, but they don't have no evidence. Continuing criminal enterprise effortless. Went to war with the Federal Bureau of Intelligence. Big giant mansion, no White House, no picket fence. Travel me with presents and get lavish vacations in all its elegance. You niggas small things to an elephant. Beat out the crackers just like the president. Leather in the bands too. All my niggas locked up. Pictures and letters sent. Lived in poverty, but now with that's irrelevant. Cause we ballin' in the present tense.
My friends be like, how come you not famous yet? I be like, you didn't share my shit. How come you ain't shared it? How come you ain't shared it yet? That's what I don't understand. That's what my friends be like, how come you ain't shared it yet? That's what I don't understand.
It's 2023. I promised myself I would not be coming on this app annoyed anymore, but alas, here we are. I saw one creator and also like the Shade Room talk about the fact that this family, the family who inherited Bruce's Beach, who had the 2 parcels of land returned to them by LA County this year, has now sold those 2 parcels back to LA County for $20 million. And as a response to this, there's nothing but like bird brain discourse from people who can.
In 1912, Charles and Willa Bruce purchased land and property in Manhattan Beach, California for approximately $1,200. They named it Bruce's Beach. They developed a spot where black citizens can come and enjoy themselves without prejudice. Soon, the white citizens in that town confronted them with racism and prejudice, trying to run them off the land. The police department tried to intimidate them to leave. The Ku Klux Klan threatened their lives. In 1924, the local politicians seized and stole the land, claiming eminent domain, claiming they needed their land to build city dwellings. The land stayed vacant for decades. Nothing was ever built. Just recently, the descendants and the heirs found out about this property their ancestors purchased in 1912. They started the long procedure investigating the rules and the laws to find out if this was rightfully their land. The LA County took steps and finally rewarded the land to the descendants and the heirs, claiming it was rightfully theirs. It was stolen from their ancestors in 1924. The land was rewarded just this year to the descendants and the heirs. The land today is worth approximately $20 million.
Family is selling the beach back to LA County. It was once a thriving resort for black beachgoers along the Strand in Manhattan Beach, but in the mid-1920s, the city took the property from Willa and Charles Bruce by eminent domain. Last June, LA County gave the deed back to the Bruce family. Now the family has decided to sell it back to the county for $20 million. In a statement, LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn said she fought to return the beach because she wanted to right a wrong. She added the family feels this is right for them. This is finally rebuilding the generational wealth they were denied.
Let's.
Around we go. Put your hands.
Man, they done sold Bruce's Beach over there in Manhattan Beach.
Henrietta Lacks saved millions of lives without her consent or knowledge. So in 1951, Henrietta Lacks has cervical cancer, and so doctors take a biopsy. Without any informed consent, this guy, George Otto Gay, takes the cells from that biopsy and tries to replicate them. But there was something very special about these cells. You see, when you take human cells outside of the body, they eventually stop dividing. They die. But Henrietta Lacks's cells were immortal. Science had never seen anything like this before, and so they basically started farming these cells. These cells were used in 11,000 patents. They were instrumental in the invention of the polio vaccine, the HPV vaccine. Her own family didn't even know about this until a freak accident in the 1970s. HeLa cells are miraculous, but they make us ask important questions about race, consent, and profit in medical experiments. I mean, we don't own our own cells legally, and I think that's kind of weird.
These are the immortal cells of Henrietta Lacks, a woman who died from cancer in 1951 and had her cells stolen from her and used for scientific research. For years and years, scientists at Johns Hopkins were trying to get cells to stay alive in culture. They could not get any of the cells to stay alive until Henrietta Lacks came along. In 1951, Henrietta Lacks was admitted to Johns Hopkins Hospital.
My dad was the eldest son of Henrietta, and
Henrietta Lacks died in 1951. She was 31 years old. She had an aggressive cervical cancer. But months earlier, as you can see right here, doctors at the Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, Maryland, took samples of her cancerous cells. At the time, they were trying to diagnose and treat her. There was something different about her cells. They were unlike any cells they had ever seen. They wouldn't die. They kept coming back. So because they were so rare, the doctors sent her cells off to researchers and laboratories across the world. And even today, her cells are still being used for medical research. Yeah, and that includes trying to figure out how to cure COVID. And to make matters worse, the hospital she was being treated at was one of the only hospitals that treated black people. So all of the hospitals and laboratories that her cells were being sent to only used that information to help white people. They released all of her information, and they profited highly from this research but didn't pay the family one dime. So watch this movie and hear her story. Rest in power, Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta Lacks.
I'm vegetarian. Henrietta.
Let's talk about Nick Cannon and all his babies' mamas.
The cells were given the name Gila, a combination of the first two letters of Henrietta Lacks' first and last names. Although they carry her name, Lacks, who passed away at the young age of 31, would never know that her cells had been extracted for scientific research. Lacks' family members only learned that her cells had been harvested 2 decades after her death. A Rolling Stone journalist contacted them and revealed that Lacks' cells had been duplicated and then used for research by countless scientists. The article called the work a critical tool in medical research. While HeLa cells have played a crucial role in scientific advancement, the fact that Lacks herself never consented to the research means that her cells were used unethically. What's more,
do you know who this is? This is Miss Henrietta Lacks. Now, Henrietta Lacks was said to have immortal stem cells. See, she was taken to Johns Hopkins Hospital to be treated for cancer, but y'all know what happens from that. They took her cells without her consent. Now, it says she was being treated for cervical cancer. Now, if we look at the female reproductive system, we can obviously see that the cervix is the lowest part of the uterus. Now look, we know that the mitochondrial Eve gene is the genetic code that is passed down from female to female. See, the mitochondrial Eve gene, known as the mitochondrial Eve, lived between 100,000 and 200,000 years ago in southern Africa. That's all we needed to know. See, the reason HeLa cells were so important is because it was the only human cell line able to reproduce indefinitely. It sounds like a unique genetic code that is passed down from female to female. Not every female has this gene, but it came from southern Africa. So what does this tell you about yourself? Do you know who this is?
Trap. Now let me explain why reparations in California, cash payout to African American is a trap. First of all, if you know anything about California, it's the most diverse state in the country. California, I hope somebody taping this. Teachers, play this to your students in your classrooms. They're going to learn more from me than you anyway. If there's any teachers who want me to guest lecture your class for Black History Month, if there's any professors who want me to guest lecture your class, middle school, high school, college, graduate school class, all you have to do is text me or email me. There will be a small fee. There will be a small fee, but I will come to your college and guest lecture a class. We can do Zoom or we can do in person. Same thing for my teachers out there. Charter school, private school, public school. You got a bunch of Black students who need to be woke up. All you have to do, we could do Zoom, we could do on person. Send me a text message. I know my cell number, 215-989-9858. What we know about California, it's the most diverse state in the country. Not only is California the most diverse state in the country, it is also the testing ground for new initiatives. Are y'all following me? Are y'all following me? California is always the testing ground for new initiatives. They tested the vaccines out there first. They tested mandatory vaccinations out there. They do a lot of first runs in California. Now they're testing reparations. Now they're testing reparations. What do you mean, Dr. Umar? They want to see how American Africans react to the 224,000 reparations check. Stay with me. If you live in California, I hope you're listening. Stay with me. If you live in California, I hope you're listening. Why is it a trap? In 5 easy steps. I'm going to make this real simple. 5 easy steps. 5 easy steps. Step number 1. Get black people to focus on money, not on structural transformation. Get black people to focus on money, not structural transformation. Get black people to focus on money, not structural transformation. They're going to give you $224,000 one time. One time. They're not going to do nothing about the schools. They're not going to do nothing about prison or criminal justice. They're not going to do nothing about gentrification. They're not going to do nothing about police brutality. They're not going to do nothing about access to wealth beyond $224,000. Are y'all with me? Are y'all with me, family? See, number 1, get them to focus on money, not structural changes. Structural injustice and inequity created the problems black people have. Structural injustice, bias, discrimination, and inequity created the problems black people have. Structural injustice, bias, discrimination, and inequity created the problems that black people have. But we not going to address none of that. Reparations, we not repairing a single institution. Reparations, we not repairing a single system. Reparations, we not going to change a single thing wrong with this country. We just going to give them some money. And since they don't have any institutions to trap that money in their community, since black people hardly own any institutions outside of restaurants and hair salons, black people hardly own any institutions outside of restaurants and hair salons, the money we give them automatically becomes an economic stimulus package to everybody else in California who owns the businesses. Can I say this any clearer? Brothers and sisters, can I say that? Do you understand and overstand and understand me? Give them the money. Don't change the systems. They have no institutions of their own. So the $224,000 that you give these Negroes, which we know they're not going to bring it together. We know they're not going to bring it together and use it to uplift their community. That money, by virtue of them having no institutions, is automatically going to go back to everybody else in California. Number 3, let me make this real plain for y'all. Let me make this real plain for y'all.
Why are you not investing in tax liens? No, seriously. Why are you not investing into one of the...
they're going to use your reparations check as a PP loan donation to the white businesses, the Asian businesses, the Arab businesses, the Latino businesses, the East Indian businesses, the immigrant businesses. Yup, you ain't nothing but a PPP check to everybody else in the state of California. They are making it look like they're giving you reparations, but all they are doing is using you as a conduit to give an economic stimulus package to all non-black people in California. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. And this is why all of you following these Negroes talking about they want a cash settlement. What happens when the money run out? Because you ain't coming back for no more. What happens when the money runs out? I am of the position that until we build our own institutions to trap the reparations money inside the community, with the $2 trillion we spend every year, we don't get the reparations until we can prove to our ancestors. Until we can prove to our ancestors. Until we can prove to our ancestors that we have built the institutions we need to trap the money inside the black community, none of us should receive a single check.